before he became the ruler of Olympus, before the thunderbolt became his symbol, and before his name inspired both fear and worship across the ancient world. Zeus was a child marked for death. Long before the age of the Olympian gods, the universe belonged to the Titans. Their king Cronus sat upon the throne of creation with unmatched power. The heavens stretched above him, the earth lay beneath him, and the forces of the cosmos obeyed his command. Yet for all his strength, Cronus lived in fear. A prophecy haunted him. Just as he had overthrown his own father, Uranus, it was foretold that one of his children would one day overthrow him. The warning burrowed deep into his mind, turning a mighty ruler into a paranoid tyrant. Determined to prevent his fate, Cronus committed an act so shocking that it would become one of the darkest moments in Greek mythology. Each time his wife Rhea gave birth, he seized the newborn child and swallowed it whole. One after another, his children disappeared. Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon. No cries echoed through the halls of the Titans. No heirs grew to challenge his authority. Cronus believed he had outwitted destiny itself. But prophecies have a way of finding the cracks in even the strongest defenses. When Rhea became pregnant again, she could no longer bear the loss. Refusing to surrender another child, she devised a desperate plan. Far from the gaze of Cronus, on the rugged island of Crete, she gave birth to a son in secret. Then she wrapped a stone in swaddling clothes and presented it to her husband as the newborn child. Without hesitation, Cronus swallowed it. The deception worked. Hidden away in a cave beneath the mountains of Crete, the infant Zeus survived. While his father ruled the universe above, the child destined to overthrow him grew in secrecy below. Nymphs cared for him. The divine goat Amalthea nourished him. Armed guardians known as the Curetes crashed their shields together whenever he cried, masking the sound from the ears of the Titan king. The survival of one child may have seemed insignificant in a universe ruled by immortal giants. Yet within that hidden cave, the future of the cosmos was taking shape. In time, Zeus would free his imprisoned siblings, wage a war that shook heaven and earth, defeat the Titans, and claim the throne of the gods. He would become master of the skies, wielder of the thunderbolt, guardian of law and order, and the central figure in countless myths that shaped the imagination of the ancient Greeks. His story is one of power, rebellion, triumph, and contradiction. He was a protector and a punisher, a king and a conqueror, a god revered for justice, yet remembered for his many passions. Through epic battles, legendary heroes, divine feuds, and world-changing decisions, Zeus came to embody the hopes, fears, and ideals of an entire civilization. This is the story of the child who was never meant to live, and how he became the king of the gods. In the world before Olympus, power did not mean peace. It meant suspicion. It meant looking over one's shoulder even while wearing a crown. Cronus, king of the Titans, ruled over a universe that seemed unshakable. Yet he trusted nothing and no one, not even his own blood. The prophecy had lodged itself in him like a splinter that would not be pulled free. He had once taken the throne from Uranus, his father, and now he lived in constant fear that history would repeat itself. The same fate he had forced upon another would one day come for him. He would be cast down by one of his own children. So Cronus chose terror over trust. Each time Rhea brought a child into the world, he took that infant and swallowed it alive, locking away the threat before it had a chance to grow. It was a cruel answer to a fear he could not silence. The king of the Titans, who had once stood as a symbol of strength, became a prisoner of his own dread. Rhea watched her children vanish one by one, and each loss deepened the sorrow in her heart. Hestia was taken, then Demeter, then Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. There was no mourning, no burial, no final farewell. There was only silence, followed by the unbearable knowledge that another child had been consumed by the darkness inside the throne room. By the time she became pregnant again, Rhea understood that if she did nothing, this child too would be lost. Desperation can give birth to courage. Rhea carried her unborn child far from the reach of Cronus and sought refuge on the island of Crete. There, amid rough stone, hidden caves, and the wild hush of mountain air, she brought Zeus into the world in secret. No grand procession announced his birth. No royal chamber witnessed it. He entered life surrounded instead by secrecy, danger, and hope. Rhea could not save him by force, so she saved him by deception. She wrapped a stone in swaddling clothes and placed it before Cronus, pretending it was the newborn child. In his blindness, the Titan king accepted the offering and swallowed it without question. The act that had destroyed so many lives succeeded once more. But this time fate had been tricked. Cronus believed he had secured his future. In truth, he had been defeated by the very fear that ruled him. Across the sea, in a hidden cave on Crete, the real child lived. That cave became a place apart from the rest of the world, almost sacred in its secrecy. Within it, Zeus was protected by forces older than the rivalry between Titans and Olympians. The goat Amalthea nourished him with her milk. The Curettes, fierce guardians of the infant god, clashed their shields and weapons in noisy ritual whenever he cried, drowning out the sound so that Cronus would not hear him. The cave was small, but the destiny growing inside it was immense. Zeus did not begin his life in splendor. He began in concealment. He was not raised beneath golden ceilings or surrounded by courtiers eager to praise him. He grew up in the shadow of stone, in the company of protectors and nymphs, far from the world that had already declared him a threat. Yet the secrecy that surrounded his childhood did not diminish him. It sharpened him. It gave his story a quiet strength, the sense that something great was taking root beneath the surface. While Cronus sat above in false security, Zeus grew in hidden power. There is something unforgettable about the image of a child sheltered by the earth itself, watched over by wild creatures, divine attendants, and the rhythmic clatter of shields echoing through a mountain cave. It is the image of a life meant to be erased, surviving anyway. Zeus's earliest days were not marked by comfort, but by resistance. Every breath he took was a small victory against the force that sought to destroy him, and in that victory lay the beginning of his rise. The child in the cave was not yet a warrior. He was not yet a king. He was only an infant, hidden from the world and guarded by those who understood that the future of the cosmos had been placed in their care. But even then, the shape of what was coming could already be felt. The silence around him was temporary. The darkness was waiting to be broken. One day Zeus would emerge from concealment, and when he did, the universe would never be the same. The hidden child would return as the avenger. The sun Cronus tried to destroy would become the force that brought an age to an end. And the cave that once protected him would become the cradle of a revolution. Time does not soften a prophecy. It only gives it space to grow. Zeus had spent his earliest years in secrecy, hidden from the father who believed he had erased him before he could ever become a threat. But hidden children do not remain hidden forever. The day came when Zeus emerged from the shadows of Crete, no longer an infant in a cave, but a force strong enough to challenge the ruler of the world. By then, he had learned what had been done to his brothers and sisters. They were not dead. They were trapped within Cronus, swallowed and imprisoned inside the body of the same king who had feared them most. That knowledge hardened Zeus's purpose. This was no longer only a matter of survival, it was a matter of justice. He did not come with hesitation. He came with resolve. What began as a secret birth now moved toward open rebellion. Zeus confronted the old order not as a helpless child, but as the son destiny had preserved for this very moment. The hidden years had not broken him. They had prepared him. Zeus's first great act was not destruction. It was release. With the aid of Metis, whose wisdom proved as powerful as any weapon, Zeus forced Cronus to drink a potion that tore open the certainty he had built around himself. The effect was immediate. The illusion of his control shattered. One by one, the children he had consumed returned to the world. Hestia emerged first, followed by Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. After them came the stone Cronus had mistaken for Zeus, a final symbol of the lie that had sustained his rule. The family that had been broken by fear was restored by defiance. Yet the reunion did not bring peace, it brought war. For now Zeus stood not only as a son reclaiming his family, but as the leader of a generation that would not remain buried forever. The young gods had returned, and with them came the end of Titan supremacy. The war that followed was not a skirmish. It was the kind of conflict that split the very shape of the universe. On one side stood Cronus and the elder Titans, powerful in age and force, bound to the ancient order that had ruled since the dawn of time. On the other stood Zeus and the younger gods, daring enough to imagine a world beyond fear, beyond tyranny, beyond inherited power used as a weapon. For 10 years, the struggle stretched across heaven and earth. The war became known as the Titanomachy, and its scale was so immense that myth itself seems almost to tremble while telling it. The mountains echoed with the force of battle. The earth shuddered. The sky darkened with violence. Neither side could easily seize victory, and the cosmos seemed caught between two ages, unable to settle into either one. This was more than a fight for a throne. It was a struggle over what the universe would become. Would it remain under the rule of the old and fearful? Or would it belong to a new generation willing to break the chains of the past? Zeus answered that question with thunder. At first, the younger gods could not break the strength of the Titans. The old order was too entrenched, too vast, too confident in its own permanence. So Zeus turned to those whom the Titans had also imprisoned. Deep in Tartarus, he freed the Cyclopes and the hundred-handed giants, beings of terrible power who had long been cast aside and forgotten. It was a decision that changed everything. In gratitude, the Cyclopes forged weapons for the Olympians. For Zeus, they created the thunderbolt. It was not merely a weapon of lightning and fire. It was a declaration, a single burst of divine force that could split the sky and collapse the confidence of any who stood against him. When Zeus took that weapon into battle, the war entered a new phase. The thunderbolt lit the battlefield like a burning promise. The Titans had strength, but Zeus had momentum. He had the courage of a generation that had been denied its place in the world. Again and again, he struck with a power that seemed to come not only from his hand, but from the very storm itself. The war dragged on, but the balance had shifted. The younger gods no longer fought merely to survive. They fought to rule. And when the final blows came, the Titans could no longer withstand the force gathered against them. Their defeat was not quiet. It was catastrophic. The old world fell in fragments, and with it fell the authority of Cronus. Victory did not mean chaos. Zeus did not destroy the universe. He remade it. After the Titans were overthrown, the cosmos was divided. By lot, the realms were separated among the brothers who had once been trapped together in darkness. Poseidon received the sea, vast and restless. Hades was given the underworld, deep and hidden beneath the living world, and Zeus claimed the sky. It was an arrangement that gave structure to the heavens and balance to the earth. The age of Titan rule was over. The age of Olympus had begun. Zeus now stood at the summit of divine authority. He was not simply one god among many. He was king of the gods, guardian of order, master of thunder, and the central figure around whom the rest of divine life would turn. The child who had once been hidden in a cave had become the ruler of the universe. But victory would not make his reign simple. The defeat of Cronus ended one war, yet it opened the door to new struggles, new enemies, and new responsibilities. The universe had been won, but it still had to be governed. And Zeus, now seated at the center of power, would have to prove that he was more than the god who won the war. He would have to become the god who could hold the world together. Winning the war was only the beginning. After the Titanomachy ended, Zeus did not step into a peaceful world. He stepped into an unfinished one, a universe still trembling from the shock of revolution. The old order had been broken, but something had to take its place. Power without structure would simply become another form of chaos. So Zeus did what few conquerors ever managed to do. He built. Olympus became more than a mountain. It became the center of a new divine world, a place set apart from the turmoil below. High above the mortal realm, Zeus established his throne there, and from that height he could survey the sky, the earth, and the seas his brothers governed. The mountain was remote, majestic, and untouchable, the perfect seat for a king who ruled not by muscle alone, but by authority. This was the beginning of Zeus's true reign. He was no longer the hidden child of Crete or the young rebel striking at Cronus. He was the one who had won, the one who now had to govern, the one who had to hold together a world that might otherwise fracture beneath the weight of its own power. If Olympus was his throne, the thunderbolt was his voice. The weapon forged for Zeus by the Cyclopes became the most recognizable symbol of his rule. It was force made visible. Whenever Zeus hurled it, the sky itself seemed to obey. Lightning split the darkness. Thunder rolled across the heavens, and mortals below understood that something greater than human will had moved. To the ancient Greeks, this was never just weather. It was presence. It was judgment. It was the reminder that the king of the gods was watching. The thunderbolt made Zeus unmistakable. He was the god of storm, cloud, and flashing sky. But he was also something more than a destroyer. In his hand, lightning became order. It punished rebellion. It defended authority. It declared that no challenge to the divine order would go unanswered. This is what made Zeus so powerful in the imagination of the ancient world. He did not merely rule from far away. He revealed himself in moments of awe. In the roar of thunder, people heard his command. In the bolt of lightning, they saw his decision. Yet Zeus was not remembered only as a force of terror. He was also the guardian of law. After the chaos of the Titan War, the world needed more than strength. It needed balance. It needed boundaries. It needed a ruler who could separate oath from betrayal, hospitality from cruelty, justice from greed. Zeus took on that role as well. He became the protector of kingship, the witness to oaths, the defender of guests, and the enforcer of sacred order. In this way, his reign reached far beyond the storm clouds. He was present wherever promises were made and wherever they were broken. He stood behind the laws that held societies together, and he punished those who violated the invisible rules that made civilized life possible. To call on Zeus was to appeal to something higher than personal desire. It was to invoke justice itself. This made him both feared and revered. People did not pray to Zeus lightly. They understood that the same God who could shelter a world could also shatter one. His favor meant protection. His anger meant ruin. In him, the Greeks saw a ruler who embodied both mercy and authority, both order and punishment. Zeus's throne on Olympus was not a symbol of ease. It was a symbol of burden. A king of gods could not afford rest in the ordinary sense. Every decision carried consequences. Every alliance mattered. Every divine quarrel could spill into the lives of mortals. Zeus had won the universe, but the universe did not become simple after that. It became his responsibility. He had to keep the Olympians united. He had to hold the boundaries between realms. He had to maintain the balance that separated creation from collapse. The throne gave him power, but it also gave him obligation. And perhaps that was the deeper truth of Zeus's reign. He was not simply the strongest. He was the one expected to endure the pressure of being strongest, the one who had to translate victory into stability. The child who had once hidden from destruction now sat above the world as its highest authority. The cave of Crete had given way to Olympus. Silence had given way to thunder. Survival had become sovereignty. But the peace of Olympus would never be permanent. A throne invites challenge. A crown invites rivals. And a god who rules the sky will always attract storms of a different kind. Zeus had claimed the heavens. Now he would have to defend them. A throne is never safe for long. Even after the Titans were cast down and Olympus rose above the world, Zeus did not inherit peace. He inherited resistance. The universe had accepted its new ruler, but not all forces bowed willingly. Among the oldest powers of the earth, anger still smoldered. From that anger came the giants, born from Gaia, the earth herself. They rose as a challenge to the order Zeus had established. They were enormous, savage, and fueled by the bitterness of a world that had been denied its old supremacy. Their rebellion was not random. It was a direct answer to Zeus's victory, a declaration that the earth would not surrender without another struggle. Once again, Zeus stood at the center of a war that threatened the balance of everything. But this time, he was no longer the uncertain young god fighting to survive. He was the ruler of Olympus, and he met the giants as a king defends his realm. The Olympians gathered around him. Gods who once might have ruled separate domains now fought together to preserve the structure Zeus had built. The struggle was fierce. It was not enough to be powerful. Zeus had to prove that the new order could endure. The giants represented more than brute strength. They represented the return of chaos, the possibility that the universe could be dragged backward into violence and division. Zeus refused to let that happen. If the giants were a warning, Typhon was an earthquake. Among all the enemies Zeus ever faced, none loomed larger in myth than Typhon, the monstrous force born from the earth's own rage. He was no ordinary adversary. He was vast, terrifying, and so violently alive that his very existence seemed to threaten the sky itself. In some traditions, he was the greatest monster ever to rise against the gods. The battle between Zeus and Typhon became one of the most dramatic contests in all of Greek mythology. It was a struggle not simply between two beings, but between order and upheaval, heaven and abyss. The force of the conflict shook the world. Mountains and storms became part of the battle. The sky was no longer a calm domain, but a battlefield for the fate of creation. For a moment, even Zeus's rule seemed in danger. Yet Zeus did what he had always done when faced with extinction. He answered fear with force. He answered chaos with thunder. The same power that had shattered the Titans now rose again against a far more terrible enemy. Typhon was not easily subdued. Myths place the final defeat of the monster beneath the earth, where his fury continues to simmer in volcanic fire. The image is unforgettable. A monster buried but not erased. His rage trapped beneath the crust of the world, still capable of trembling through stone and flame. It is one of the great symbolic victories of Zeus's reign. He does not merely destroy danger, he contains it. He drives it down, seals it away, and places the weight of the world above it. These battles mattered because they were never only battles. The Greeks understood them as stories about the universe itself. Every enemy Zeus defeated represented some form of disorder, some force that refused measure, hierarchy, or restraint. The giants embodied rebellion from below. Typhon embodied a monstrous threat from beneath the world. Each conflict tested whether the cosmos would remain shaped or collapse into chaos. Zeus's victories answered that question again and again. He was not just a warrior god. He was the guarantor of stability. His thunder did not simply punish enemies. It preserved structure. It protected the line between what could be ruled and what could not be allowed to run wild. This is why the myths surrounding Zeus often feel larger than life. They are not only about personal triumph, they are about the survival of order itself. The sky must remain above the earth. The gods must remain distinct from monsters. Kings must answer to law. Oaths must mean something. The world must hold together. And in the mythology of the Greeks, Zeus was the one who made that possible. His enemies were not merely defeated. They were placed in their proper place. The earth, the underworld, the seas, and the heavens all remained within the framework he defended. Through each victory, Zeus reminded both gods and mortals that power without order leads only to ruin. But the enemies he faced were not always monstrous in form. Some of the greatest threats to his rule came not from giants or dragons, but from the dangerous complexity of his own nature, his own desires, and the consequences of his actions. And those dangers would lead him into a very different kind of conflict. For all his victories on the battlefield, some of Zeus's most famous stories began not with war, but with desire. The king of the gods ruled the sky, commanded thunder, and held authority over both gods and mortals. Yet unlike the distant and untouchable creator figures found in some traditions, Zeus was deeply involved in the lives of those below him. He walked among mortals, intervened in their affairs, and often became entangled in their destinies. These encounters shaped Greek mythology as profoundly as any war. They produced heroes, founded kingdoms, and set entire generations of legends into motion. Yet they also revealed a more complicated side of Zeus. He was powerful, charismatic, and irresistible, but he was also impulsive. His desires frequently created conflict, especially with Hera, whose jealousy became a recurring force in many myths. Again and again, Zeus descended from Olympus, crossing the boundary between divine and mortal worlds. Rarely did he appear in his true form. The brilliance of a god was said to be too overwhelming for ordinary eyes. Instead, Zeus became a master of transformation. A king who ruled the heavens learned to disguise himself as creatures of the earth. One of the most unusual stories begins with a locked chamber. Danae, a princess of Argos, had been imprisoned by her father after a prophecy warned that her future son would one day cause his death. Believing he could outwit fate, the king sealed her away from the world, cutting her off from any possibility of bearing a child. It was a familiar mistake. Like Cronus before him, he believed walls could stop destiny. Zeus had other plans. Unable to enter the prison through ordinary means, he transformed himself into a shower of golden light that poured through the roof of Danae's chamber. In this miraculous form, he reached the princess and fathered a son. That child was Perseus. The consequences of Perseus's birth would echo throughout Greek mythology. He would grow into one of Greece's greatest heroes, slay the dreaded Medusa, rescue Andromeda, and establish a royal lineage that traced its origins back to Zeus himself. What began as a prophecy avoided became a prophecy fulfilled. If the story of Danae is strange, the story of Leda is even more famous. Leda was a queen renowned for her beauty, and Zeus became captivated by her. To approach her, he assumed the form of a magnificent swan, one of the most elegant creatures in the natural world. The image endured for centuries. Artists, poets, and sculptors returned to the scene again and again, fascinated by the contrast between divine power and earthly beauty. Yet the significance of the story lies not only in the transformation itself, but in the children who followed. From this union came figures whose names would shape the destiny of nations. Among them was Helen, later known as Helen of Troy, whose beauty would become legendary throughout the ancient world. Her abduction would ignite the Trojan War, a conflict that inspired some of the greatest works of Greek literature. In this way, a single encounter between Zeus and Leda helped set in motion one of mythology's most famous wars. Not every transformation was subtle. Sometimes Zeus chose forms designed to inspire wonder. Europa was a Phoenician princess gathering flowers by the sea when she encountered an extraordinary white bull. The animal was unlike any she had ever seen. Gentle, majestic, and remarkably calm, it approached without fear. Drawn by its beauty, Europa climbed onto its back. That was the moment everything changed. The bull plunged into the sea and carried her across the waves toward the island of Crete. There, Zeus revealed his true identity and made Europa one of the most celebrated women in mythology. Their children would become rulers and judges whose influence stretched across generations. Among them was Minos, the legendary king of Crete, whose name became inseparable from the island's mythic past. The story also left its mark on geography itself. Europa's name would eventually become associated with the continent of Europe, linking her forever to a vast portion of the world. Few stories reveal the consequences of Zeus's affairs more clearly than the tragedy of Io. Io was a mortal woman whose beauty attracted Zeus's attention. When Hera began to suspect what was happening, Zeus attempted to conceal the truth by transforming Io into a white heifer. The disguise did not solve the problem. Hera's suspicions only deepened. She demanded the animal as a gift and placed it under the watch of Argus, a giant guardian with countless eyes who never fully slept. What followed became one of the longest and most sorrowful journeys in Greek mythology. Though Zeus eventually arranged for Argus to be slain, Io's suffering did not end. Pursued by torment and driven across continents, she wandered through distant lands and unfamiliar seas. Rivers, mountains, and entire regions became linked to her travels. Her story transformed personal tragedy into a mythic geography of the ancient world. Yet it also revealed something important about Zeus himself. His actions often changed the lives of mortals forever, sometimes bringing glory, sometimes suffering, and often both at once. The stories of Danae, Leda, Europa, and Io are among the most enduring myths associated with Zeus because they reveal a different kind of power. On the battlefield, Zeus conquered with thunder. Among mortals, he conquered through transformation. Each shape he assumed carried meaning. The golden shower represented divine intrusion into an impossible prison. The swan symbolized beauty and mystery. The bull embodied strength and majesty. The transformations allowed Zeus to move between worlds, crossing boundaries that separated gods from humans. But these stories are about more than disguise. They explain the origins of heroes, kingdoms, and entire mythological traditions. Through these encounters, Zeus became not only the ruler of Olympus, but also the ancestor of many of Greek mythology's most important figures. His actions shaped generations. And through the children born from those unions, the influence of Zeus spread far beyond Olympus itself. The king of the gods was not merely creating stories. He was creating legacies. Those legacies would soon appear in the form of extraordinary sons and daughters, heroes, warriors, prophets, and gods whose names would become legendary throughout the ancient world. Not all of Zeus's children entered the world in the ordinary way. Some arrived through struggle, some through secrecy, and one emerged from the god himself in a moment so astonishing that it became one of the most famous births in all of mythology. The story begins with Metis, the goddess of wisdom. Zeus had taken her as a companion, but a prophecy soon unsettled him. It warned that Metis would bear a child more powerful than his father, and that this child would one day challenge his rule. Zeus, who had once inherited the throne through rebellion, could not ignore the possibility that his own reign might end the same way. So he acted as Cronus had acted before him. He swallowed Metis. But wisdom cannot simply disappear. It remained within him, and when the time came, Zeus endured a terrible pain that split his being open. From his head, fully armed and radiant with purpose, Athena burst into the world. She did not crawl into life helplessly. She arrived as a warrior. Athena's birth was unlike any other because it revealed something essential about Zeus's nature. Even his greatest fear could be transformed into power. The child he meant to prevent became the goddess who embodied intelligence, strategy, and disciplined strength. In that strange and magnificent moment, Zeus became father not only of a daughter, but of wisdom itself. Zeus's children were not always born in pain or prophecy. Some came into the world with quiet dignity, but their arrival still carried enormous weight. Leto, the mother of Apollo and Artemis, found herself pursued by Hera's wrath. Because Zeus had taken an interest in her, she became the target of the queen of the gods. Hera refused to let her give birth anywhere on solid ground. The earth itself seemed to reject her. Every land was pressured to deny her a place of rest. At last, she found refuge on the floating island of Delos. There, in a place that had no fixed allegiance and no stable place in the world, she gave birth to twins whose influence would shape Greek religion and imagination for centuries. Artemis came first, swift and luminous, a goddess of wild places, the hunt, and the untamed world. Then came Apollo, brilliant and majestic, a god of prophecy, music, healing, and divine order. Their birth was a triumph over exclusion. Through them, Zeus became father to gods who stood at the center of Greek cultural life. Apollo would speak through oracles and shine through art. Artemis would guard the wilderness and all that remained free from civilization. Together, they became a pair of forces that balanced one another, and both bore the unmistakable mark of their father's greatness. Not every divine child of Zeus entered the world without tragedy. Semele, a mortal woman, became the mother of Dionysus through a story that mixed love, suspicion, and disaster. Hera, never willing to let Zeus's affairs pass quietly, tricked Semele into demanding proof of Zeus's true identity. Semele asked Zeus to appear to her in his full divine splendor. He had sworn to grant her request, and so he did. It was too much for a mortal body to bear. The radiance of Zeus's true form consumed Semele, and she perished in the blaze of divine power. Yet Dionysus was not lost. Zeus rescued the unborn child and carried him within his own body until he was ready to be born. It is one of the most unusual stories in all mythology, and one of the most revealing. Dionysus came from destruction, but not to embody destruction. He became a god of wine, ecstasy, transformation, theater, and the breaking of boundaries. In him, Greek mythology gave shape to the thrill and danger of surrendering control. Even in sorrow, Zeus's legacy continued to expand. His children were not alike. Some brought order, some brought struggle, some brought art, battle, wisdom, or wonder. But each one carried something of him into the world. Zeus did not only father gods, he fathered heroes. And in Greek mythology, that often meant a life both glorious and difficult. Perseus, born from Danae after Zeus appeared as golden light, became one of the greatest heroes of the Greek world. He slew Medusa, one of the Gorgons, and later rescued Andromeda from a sea monster. His story is one of courage, divine favor, and the triumph of a mortal shaped by a god's intervention. Heracles was even more famous. Born from Zeus and the mortal woman Alcmena, Heracles carried both extraordinary strength and extraordinary suffering. Hera's jealousy followed him from birth, and his life became a long struggle against impossible trials. Yet through his labors, his endurance, and his eventual ascension to Olympus, Heracles became the ultimate hero of strength tested by suffering. These figures mattered because they showed how Zeus's power extended beyond Olympus. He was not only king of the gods, he was the source of lineages, the father of champions, and the hidden force behind many of the most important stories in Greek mythology. Through his children, Zeus entered the mortal world again and again. Some of them ruled, some of them fought, some of them suffered. All of them carried his legacy. The children of Zeus reveal the wide reach of his character. Athena came from wisdom and strategy. Apollo and Artemis came from light, prophecy, and the wild. Dionysus came from divine tragedy transformed into revelry. Heracles and Perseus came from mortal struggle elevated into legend. Together, they form a family that is not simple, but immense. This is what makes Zeus such a central figure in Greek mythology. He is not only a ruler seated above the world. He is a source, a beginning, a father whose children shape the pattern of the myths that follow. Through them, his power becomes visible in new forms. Through them, Olympus reaches into the human world. Zeus did not merely govern the heavens. He filled the world with descendants who carried the weight of his name. And yet, even as his family spread across myth and memory, another part of his story remained just as important. The way he shaped the fate of humankind itself. For Zeus was not only father to gods and heroes. He was also the god who judged the human world, rewarded it, punished it, and at times nearly destroyed it. If Zeus ruled the gods, then humanity lived under the shadow of his judgment. The relationship between Zeus and mortals was never simple. He could protect them elevate them, and even shape their destinies. But he could also punish them with terrifying force. Among all the myths that reveal this tension, none is more important than the story of Prometheus. Prometheus saw something in humankind that the gods did not. He sympathized with their weakness, their hunger, and their struggle to survive in a world that offered them little comfort. In defiance of Zeus, he stole fire and gave it to humanity, opening the door to civilization, craft, warmth, and power. But to Zeus, this was not a noble act. It was rebellion. Fire was more than a practical gift. It was a sign that mortals had crossed a boundary meant to remain intact. Zeus responded with wrath. Prometheus was punished, chained to a remote mountain where his suffering became endless and his torment repeated day after day. The myth is severe, but that severity is part of its meaning. It shows Zeus as a god who would not allow the divine and human worlds to collapse into one another without consequence. Mortals could receive blessings, but not without limits. They could live, build, and dream, but they must still recognize the distance between themselves and the power above them. In that story, Zeus stands as both guardian and gatekeeper. He permits civilization to exist, but he does not permit it to forget who governs the boundaries of the world. At other times, Zeus's judgment became even more terrible. When humanity became corrupt, violent, and irredeemable, Zeus resolved to cleanse the world through destruction. The result was the Great Flood, one of the most haunting stories in Greek mythology. Rain fell without mercy. Rivers rose. The earth vanished beneath water. The human world that had grown loud with pride and disorder was swept away in silence. Yet even in this act of destruction, Zeus did not erase everything. He preserved Deucalion and Pyrrha, a righteous pair who survived the flood and became the seed of a new humanity. Their survival gave the story its enduring shape. Zeus destroys not out of cruelty alone, but out of judgment. He removes what has become unbearable and allows life to begin again. The flood is both ending and beginning, punishment and renewal. When the waters finally receded, the world did not return to what it had been. It became something else. Human beings were given a second chance, but that chance came through divine power and through the mercy that followed devastation. Zeus, in this myth, is not just the bringer of ruin. He is the one who decides whether the world continues at all. These stories reveal one of the clearest truths about Zeus in Greek mythology. He was never a distant symbol of authority alone. He was active, personal, and deeply involved in the moral structure of the world. To those who honor justice, hospitality, and order, Zeus could be a protector. To those who broke oaths, abused guests, or acted with arrogance, he could be merciless. His power was not random. It was connected to the idea that the universe itself must remain balanced. This is why the Greeks often associated Zeus with law, kingship, and sacred obligation. He was the god who watched over human conduct. He was the one who could bless a household, a city, or a king, and the one who could just as easily strip away those blessings when pride went too far. In this sense, Zeus governed more than weather or battle. He governed consequence. Mortals did not simply live beneath him. They lived within a moral order he enforced. And yet, his relationship with humanity was not only punitive. Zeus also shaped the stories that gave people hope, ancestry, and meaning. Through heroes born of divine unions, through floods survived, through fire stolen and punished, he became woven into the fabric of human destiny. He was feared because he was powerful, but he was remembered because he mattered. Every human life in the myths existed under the possibility of his attention. The human world in Zeus's myths is fragile. It is brilliant, but brief. It can build cities, sing songs, raise heroes, and offer sacrifices. Yet it always remains vulnerable to forces larger than itself. Zeus embodies that larger force. He reminds mortals that their achievements are real, but not ultimate. This is why his stories are so often filled with tests. A king must keep his word. A guest must be treated with honor. A deceiver must face the consequences of his lies. A proud civilization must remember its limits. Time and again, Zeus acts as the one who measures the worth of human conduct. That does not make him gentle. It makes him essential. Without Zeus, the myths suggest, human life would drift toward disorder. With him, it is held within a framework of meaning, justice, and consequence. Even his anger belongs to that order. It is terrible, but not meaningless. The sky god does not merely hover above the world. He judges it, shapes it, and sometimes renews it through destruction. For mortals, that meant living with both fear and reverence. For Zeus, it meant ruling not only Olympus, but the fragile line between civilization and chaos. And so his story moves from the heavens and the battlefield into the rituals of worship, where mortals tried to understand him, honor him, and seek his favor. For a god so mighty, Zeus was never far from human prayer. Zeus was never a single idea in the imagination of the ancient world. He was a force that shifted shape depending on where he was invoked, how he was worshipped, and what people needed from him. To some, he was the sky itself, alive with intention. To others, he was the crack of thunder that broke silence without warning. To others still, he was the unseen hand that ensured justice was not forgotten. At his most primal, Zeus was Zeus Karaunios, the wielder of lightning. In this form, he was not distant or symbolic. He was immediate. When storms gathered over mountains and cities, when the sky darkened and split with light, it was Zeus making his presence known. Lightning was not random in this worldview. It was directed. It was meaningful. It was a message that something beyond human control had just moved through the world. The thunderbolt was not simply a weapon of war. It was the signature of divine authority. It marked the boundary between order and chaos, between what could be endured and what could not be ignored. In the storm, Zeus was absolute. Yet the same God who shook the heavens also entered the most intimate spaces of human life. As Zeus Xenios, he became the protector of guests and strangers. In the ancient world, hospitality was not a courtesy. It was a sacred obligation. A traveler entering a home was not merely a visitor, but someone under divine protection. To betray that trust was not only a social offense, but a spiritual crime. Zeus watched over this fragile agreement. He was believed to stand behind every act of welcome and every violation of hospitality. A generous host could be rewarded by his favor. A cruel or dishonest one could bring divine punishment upon an entire household. In this way, Zeus extended his authority into the everyday rhythms of human life, shaping behavior not only through fear, but through expectation. Even in the smallest interactions between strangers, his presence was imagined. A meal shared with kindness was not just human kindness. It was obedience to a divine order that Zeus himself upheld. In moments of crisis, Zeus took yet another form. As Zeus Soter, he became the savior, the one invoked when survival itself was uncertain. Cities at war, Sailors caught in storms and communities facing disaster turned to him not as a distant ruler, but as a last hope. His role in this aspect was not always gentle, but it was decisive. To call upon Zeus Soter was to acknowledge dependence on something greater than human effort alone. It was to ask not for comfort, but for deliverance. This form of Zeus reflected a deep truth in ancient belief. The world was unpredictable, and survival often depended on forces beyond control. In those moments, Zeus was imagined as the one who could turn the tide, restore balance, and allow life to continue when it seemed most at risk. He was not only king of the gods, he was the one who could preserve the world when it came close to breaking. At the center of all these identities stood Zeus Olympios. This was Zeus in his most complete form, the ruler of Olympus, the organizer of divine hierarchy, the figure around whom gods and mortals alike oriented their understanding of power. From his throne, Zeus did not merely command. He maintained structure. The gods of Olympus each held their domains, but none existed outside his authority. He was the anchor point of the entire divine system. Without him, the structure of mythology itself would collapse into fragmentation. Yet his kingship was not static. It required constant attention. Gods argued, interfered in mortal affairs, and tested the limits of their influence. Zeus's role was to ensure that none of these actions destroyed the balance of the world he governed. His rule was less like absolute stillness and more like controlled motion, always adjusting, always responding, always holding the universe in alignment. To be king of Olympus was not simply to sit above others. It was to sustain everything beneath him. These many names of Zeus are not contradictions. They are layers. Each epithet reveals a different way the ancient world understood power. In thunder, Zeus was overwhelming force. In hospitality, he was moral order. In salvation, he was intervention during crisis. In kingship, he was structure itself. Together, they form a complete image of a god who could not be reduced to a single role. Zeus was not only the storm in the sky or the ruler on the throne. He was the system that connected sky, earth, and human life into a single ordered universe. Every aspect of existence, from the smallest household to the widest battlefield, could be touched by one of his forms. This is what made him enduring in Greek thought. He was not distant from life. He was embedded within it. And yet even a god with so many faces could not exist without transformation beyond myth. As cultures changed and empires rose, Zeus himself would be reshaped, renamed, and carried into new worlds under a different identity. His story did not end in Greece. It expanded beyond it. In the end, Zeus was never simply a god who ruled from above. He was a beginning and a continuation at the same time. A force that emerged from fear, survived concealment, rose through rebellion, and ultimately reshaped the very structure of the cosmos. His story does not move in a straight line toward a peaceful ending. Instead, it expands outward, touching every layer of existence, the heavens above, the earth below, and the fragile world of humanity in between. From the hidden cave in Crete to the throne of Olympus, from the swallowing of stones and children to the cracking of thunder across war-torn skies, Zeus's journey reflects a central idea in Greek mythology: that order is never permanent unless it is constantly defended. He was not a distant observer of the universe. He was its active center. Every victory he claimed over titans, giants, and monsters was not only a triumph of strength, but a reinforcement of structure itself. Every judgment he delivered to mortals, every blessing and punishment, became part of a larger design in which the world remained balanced, but never still. Even his contradictions endure as part of his legacy. Zeus could be just and unpredictable, protective and destructive, distant and deeply involved in mortal affairs. He could bring rain to nourish the earth or lightning to tear it apart. He could father gods who upheld wisdom and heroes who suffered endlessly under divine attention. In him, the ancient world found a reflection of power that was neither simple nor safe, but absolute in its reach. Yet perhaps the most enduring aspect of Zeus is not his strength, but his permanence in memory. Long after the temples fell silent and the rituals faded, his presence remained embedded in storytelling, art, language, and imagination. The sky still carries his symbol in mythic memory. Thunder still feels, in the old imagination of the world, like a voice that belongs to something greater than nature alone. Zeus began as a child who was never meant to live. But in surviving, he became something far larger than survival itself. He became a story that refused to disappear. And even now, across centuries and civilizations far removed from ancient Greece, that story continues to echo, softly at times, violently at others, like distant thunder rolling endlessly through the sky.